He promised to stop the wars. He promised to put America first. He promised to make America great again. But what if this presidency is not about America at all? What if it is about power, profit, and ego, at the cost of America's place in the world? Hello everyone, welcome to Global Matters. Today's video is not about left or right. It is not about Democrats or Republicans. It is about power, foreign policy, and consequences. Today we are talking about President Donald Trump and why his actions are pushing the United States toward global isolation instead of global leadership. Before the election, Donald Trump told American voters a very clear story. He said he would end wars. He said he would stop the Israel-Gaza conflict. He said he would bring Russia and Ukraine to the table. He said America would no longer fight endless conflicts for nothing. Millions believed him. Trump returned to power, presenting himself as a deal-maker and a peace president. But once in office, the difference between promises and reality became impossible to ignore. Wars were not ended, they were rebranded. The Israel-Gaza war did not stop. The Russia-Ukraine war did not stop. Instead, Trump began claiming that he had stopped 7 or 8 wars conflicts where the United States had little direct involvement or pressure. Meanwhile, when real diplomatic leadership was required, the results were absent. Even more concerning, instead of reducing conflict, the United States entered new, dangerous territory. At Israel's urging, the United States moved toward direct military action against Iran, escalating regional tensions and risking a wider war. At a time when America's internal and economic problems are increasing, opening another front only adds pressure, more conflict, more instability, and more cost. This raised a serious question. Was this about peace or about choosing wars that fit political interests? One of the most alarming episodes of Trump's foreign policy involves Venezuela. Reports indicate that Venezuela's president was detained and transferred under U.S. legal action, despite serious jurisdictional questions. A U.S. New York District Court, which legally cannot prosecute foreign leaders outside its jurisdiction, was suddenly used to set a new precedent. This was not just politics, this was business. Before the election, Trump reportedly received significant funding from major oil interests. In return, promises were made to open Venezuela's massive oil reserves to American drilling companies. After the action against Venezuela, U.S. energy corporations stood to gain billions of dollars in new oil contracts. This blurred the line between national interest and private profit, in a way rarely seen at this level of power. Multiple investigative reports, including commentary from major U.S. newspapers, indicate that Donald Trump and his family earned an estimated $1.4 billion in personal wealth during the first year of his return to office. A significant portion of that wealth came from cryptocurrency ventures, including Trump-branded coins and crypto businesses linked to his circle. At the same time, the administration promoted crypto-friendly policies, softened regulatory pressure, and appointed regulators who were openly supportive of the industry. This overlap between presidential power and private financial gain raised unprecedented ethical concerns. Critics argue that when Trump makes statements about tariffs, wars, or sanctions, and markets drop, insiders benefit from volatility while ordinary investors pay the price. Whether intentional or not, the pattern is deeply troubling. Greenland and the collapse of American credibility. Trump's insistence on acquiring Greenland shocked the world. He openly suggested that military force was an option. He argued that Denmark could not protect Greenland. He framed the issue as a matter of American security. Europe did not see this as negotiation. Europe saw it as intimidation. The European Union responded by suspending trade talks with the United States and openly discussing retaliatory tariffs worth nearly $100 billion. Under intense pressure, Trump backtracked, publicly stating that military force would not be used after already damaging trust with America's closest allies. Canada's historic move toward China. Perhaps the most symbolic failure of Trump's foreign policy is Canada. Canada is America's closest ally, largest trading partner, and neighbor. After facing U.S. tariffs and constant political pressure, Canada responded with a strategic shift. Canada signed major trade agreements with China, including reduced tariffs on electric vehicles, expanded oil exports, and Chinese investment in artificial intelligence and high-tech sectors within Canada. Canadian leadership openly referred to this shift as part of a new world order. For the United States, this was not just a trade loss. It was a geopolitical warning sign. When your closest ally looks elsewhere for stability, leadership has failed. Europe also changed its approach. Instead of quietly absorbing American pressure, European leaders discussed the use of what they called a trade bazooka, economic tools designed to respond forcefully to U.S. bullying. For the first time in decades, American dominance was being challenged openly by allies, not rivals. China watched these developments carefully, benefiting from America's self-inflicted diplomatic damage. Relations between the United States and India deteriorated rapidly. Trade deals collapsed, tariffs increased, trust weakened. India, one of the world's largest markets and fastest-growing economies, began actively exploring trade partnerships with Europe, the United Kingdom, Australia, and others. At the same time, India's tensions with China showed signs of easing. America's rigid approach pushed a strategic partner toward alternatives. Because of these actions, the world is now moving away from a unipolar system dominated by one power. A multilateral world order is emerging, one where no single country controls everything, and global leadership is shared among multiple powers. As the United States creates friction, imposes tariffs, and weakens alliances, other nations are learning to cooperate with each other instead. Canada, the European Union, India, China, and even Russia are recalculating their strategies, not around Washington, but around balance. This shift is not theoretical. It is already happening. While America's problems grow at home, Trump's willingness to expand conflicts abroad, especially a potential Iran war, will only deepen U.S. troubles. More wars mean more defense spending. More defense spending means more debt. More debt means higher interest payments. And higher interest payments lead to even more borrowing. This creates a dangerous cycle. More conflicts, more debt, more interest, more instability. At the same time, when allies like Canada and the European Union choose independent paths and improve relations with China, India, or Russia, America's financial safety net weakens. A moment could come when the United States struggles to service its debt, something once considered unthinkable. Most importantly, the promises made to American citizens were not fulfilled. Wars were not reduced. Debt did not shrink. Economic pressure increased. Instead of renewal, the country faces rising challenges. 4 critical years risk being wasted, while global influence declines and problems multiply, especially if major powers no longer stand beside the United States. History shows a clear pattern. Empires expand in the name of security. They demand more territory, more influence, more control. But security is never enough. Even if America controlled Greenland, Canada, and every strategic corridor, insecurity would remain. This cycle has ended every empire before, not through invasion, but through overreach. So we must ask the uncomfortable question, is this a calculated geopolitical strategy? Or is it the result of personal ego, financial interest, and impulsive decision-making by a leader with enormous power? Because the outcome is clear. Donald Trump grows richer. America grows more isolated. Wars increase, not decrease. Debt expands. Diplomatic respect collapses. This is not how nations become great. This is how they weaken themselves. If you want to understand global issues beyond propaganda, this platform is for you. Like, share, and subscribe or follow to Global Matters. Because the world is not as simple as headlines want you to believe.